Hey, welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. I'm Johnny Venerable, my co-host Brack, live in Studio K. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. This time next week, we will be fresh, baked, and ready to go. 2024 training camp will be amongst us, Brack.
It's beautiful. It's more than beautiful. I'm going to be loading up on snacks at Circle K in anticipation for a week from today when the rookies and the veterans, a unified group as they've been all season long, off season long, they go into training camp, report to training camp in Glendale, State Farm Stadium, Jonathan Gannon, year 2. Buckle up, baby.
The Love Fest continues this offseason. It was all over Kyler Murray's TikTok account yesterday. And I mean, the Love Fest, the love affair as it relates to this group of fanboys here on this fine podcast. But if you look at the cohesiveness of the Arizona Cardinals, I think it's undeniable. The culture has been rebuilt. And I mean, now, as your guy Jody Earler said, Bo, it's time to win games. Like, you got to be able to have that sustained momentum into 2024. And we are just a couple weeks away from the start of the preseason, which is crazy. And we are excited about it. In the meantime, though, we're going to continue this love affair. And it's great to see Cardinals get a national spotlight, which is something that we're not used to. They've got kind of one primetime game this year on ESPN, Asterisk Plus, something where you have to go on the dark web to stream the game on your Nintendo DS. But in all seriousness, Trey McBride, actually, in all his non-top 10 wisdom for ESPN, got to join one Adam Schefter on his podcast to talk about a plethora of items, including the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr., he is in fact real and he is fantastic, Bo.
Yeah, Trey McBride, and this is kind of echoing his comments that he made before he went on his offseason, right after he finished up OTAs with the Arizona Cardinals and got into, actually we talked to him after he spent some time at Tight End University and all that.
Yeah.
But, Trey McBride continuing his media tour and continue to promote this organization, I think is quietly kind of making some rumblings around kind of the NFL streets, which is great, but still under the radar. But, what he told us back after he finished up at Tight End University this offseason, what he said, at post-practice a couple times, and what he told you and I at the Super Bowl is like what he recognized just watching the film is Marv is special, and he's somebody that matches the hype, and he's going to be a game changer, not only in making plays for this offense, but also he's going to be a game changer in what he's going to open up and the opportunity he's going to create for guys like Trey McBride and Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch.
Well, let's hear from the man himself. This is a little excerpt of Trey McBride on with Adam Schefter here earlier today.
A lot of people excited about Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm curious what you saw from him during OTAs and mandatory minicamp that stood out to you, Trey.
Yeah, it's this guy's elite. He's a freak of nature. It's one of those things where a guy of his stature and shouldn't be able to move the way he moves. It shouldn't be as fast as he is. Shouldn't be able to catch the ball the way he does. And everything he does is elite. The hype that was around him in college, he definitely lived up to the hype. He's a great person, a great player, and I'm excited to see the connection him and Kyler have come training camp.
Give me an example of what you saw like that from him that made it stand out, that height and the elite skill set that you're describing.
Yeah, the guy just runs very crisp routes. He gets open. He doesn't drop a ball. He's just one of those guys who you throw it up to him and it's no 50-50 for him. It's like a 70-30 for us. He's always going to win that 50-50 battle. He's great. He's just an elite player and someone that I'm excited to be on his team.
And those are a lot of wide receivers. Michael Wilson's very good. He was hurt last year, but I think he flashed some of his potential before he got hurt. Greg Dortch was very productive when he played. Zay Jones has been productive. Marvin Harrison Jr. So that is a lot of firepower for an offense that obviously should be vastly improved this year, Trey.
Yeah, no doubt. There's just so many guys. And then, You had, James Conner into the run game, a guy that, came off a 1,000-yard season. Trey Benson, we just drafted from Florida State, who could be a great running back as well. I mean, there's just so many different weapons. Kyler Murray's healthy for the first time since I've been a Cardinal for a full season. So, I mean, everything's kind of trending in the right way, and I'm just excited to see, where this offense can go.
A lot to dive in with those comments from Trey McBride. Thank you, producer Damon, for putting that together for us. And it's a great interview. I go encourage everybody to check that out. But I think let's start with the Marv piece. Again, like I've been covering this team for a little bit. You've been covering it longer than I have. I've been a fan of this team my entire childhood, adult life. I don't remember a rookie coming into camp, coming into a veteran locker room and commanding this kind of respect right away. It's pretty unfathomable, Bo Brock.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I saw this, obviously Schefter tweeted this out on his own account, way over 1 million followers. And you saw what people highlighted from that conversation. But what stood out to me is when Trey McBride says, those 50-50 balls, in actuality with MHJ, those are 70-30. And that's just something that hasn't existed in this offense. Maybe prime D-Hop, his first season with this team, when he goes up and he pulls the ball down on the Hail Murray against the Buffalo Bills en route to a 1,400-yard season. But, that's what you're getting. You're getting in at the ground level with Marvin Harrison Jr. And when you didn't have somebody that can consistently make plays at the X spot last year, and now you're elevating that position so much with MHJ. I mean, that's why people are giddy about this offense. And Trey McBride also had to fill Adam Schefter, and who thought he had enough, where it's like, hey, and yourself and Michael Wilson in Dortch, and he's like, oh yeah, and James Conner. Remember about James Conner, and we're a run first team, and then James Conner actually has his in-house successor in Trey Benson, and this and that. And it's just like, that's why we're excited about this offense and where it can go in 2024 with a dialed in quarterback in Kyler Murray.
Yeah, it makes you feel good as an Arizona Cardinal fan, the humility that you see with this team. Like Brandon Ayuk asking for a trade request because he wants to get paid. Like, those are first world problems because they've had success. Cardinals are just starting this kind of marriage relationship where they have their own version of Ayuk and Kittle and Debo and their quarterback and their running back. Like, we have barely scratched the surface, it feels like, for what I think is going to be a pretty special group of homegrown offensive players. We've compared it, Bo, in the past to Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Boldin, and why that is undoubtedly the best receiving duo in the history of this franchise. I'm willing to go on a limb here. Like, we could be sitting here at the end of year one with MHJ and company and saying, like, is this the best collection at once as a unit of Arizona Cardinal weaponry in the history of this franchise? Like, we are a really nice rookie year from Marvin, a second year from Michael, and eventually explosion from Trey Benson, and saying, hey, when in this franchise's history has, the infinity gauntlet, you've had all the stones, the stars have aligned for this franchise to hit every single beat. They've had flashes in the pan. They had Fitz at a certain time. Yeah. They had David Johnson, right? They've really never had a tight end like McBride. And then you've got the ultimate orchestrator in Kyler Murray that can facilitate the ball. Like, this is unequivocally the best collection on paper of homegrown talent entering in a season in my adult life. Really, I can't remember. They've had veterans, they've had expensive players. I'd say probably ever.
I think in ever. I mean, and I know that's high praise, and then some of you are like, well, that's hyperbole, and I got to see it to believe it. But I want you to keep in mind, like, Anquan Boldin had that unbelievable rookie run, right, where he set records in his first game, and then obviously it leads to the next season where they draft Larry Fitzgerald, and you've got this dynamic duo, but still don't have the quarterback position figured out at that time. You never had the tight end position figured out, and very rarely did you have the running back position. And you've never really drafted and developed that quarterback Kyler Murray it will continue to be until down the road here, to be the best homegrown quarterback this franchise has ever had. So you got the quarterback in place, you got a really rock solid run game, you got the tight end finally, and then, like you've had in past, you've got two really dynamic wide receivers. And I think that's the difference. Like, the full collection of pieces is the most impressive I've seen. Now, look, I mean, a lot can change if they don't come out and produce in 2024, but I really think that this is a motivated group that has the ability to really do something that hasn't been done in the desert ever before.
Well, and again, like we're taking this group at face value. They're going to be people that are saying, shaking the pom-poms and overreacting. I'm looking at a tight end that this franchise, since Jackie Smith, has never had. Certainly since they've been in Arizona. Nobody that just had the season Trey McBride had. Kyler Murray's their best homegrown quarterback ever. You've got Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. now on the cusp of, I think, superstar tandem is a term you can throw out easily. And then you got a bunch of running backs they're excited about. And an offensive line that I think overachieved last year and will continue to have resources poured in it. I mean, why can't this be a rendition of what Cincinnati had with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, and then you have your own version, obviously, of Trey McBride, which very few have. I mean, again, like I bring up San Francisco, 2 alpha receivers, a tight end, a back, and a homegrown quarterback. Like, it's easy to see why you can get excited about this. Like, outside of James Conner, everybody is an internal developmental player. Even Greg Dortch was an internal developmental undrafted free agent. I mean, we are this time next year. Like, if everything breaks right this year, if everything goes well and they're entering the fall of 2025, every single starting spot will have been taken up offensively with the skilled positions by guys this team has drafted and developed. K1, Marvin, Michael, Dortch, Trey Benson, Trey McBride, Tip Raymond, Elijah Higgy-Bear. These guys that they've signed as undrafted free agents, priority free agents, or drafted outright in the draft. That's the way it should be.
Yeah, no, it absolutely should be. And, like when people heard what this organization was going to be about and how it was going to be built, and you hear draft and develop, and you just came off the run or lack thereof from the previous regime, you're like, shit, like that's going to take forever. And what you're seeing in real time, this develop really quickly, right? I mean, what Monty Osfort, how he was able to bring and draft and develop and put together a core group, especially on the offensive side of football, that can immediately make an impact, right? I mean, it helps that you've got the quarterback already in place. I mean, that was what made this rebuild really unique to most rebuilds, because you don't have that position accounted for. But, to be able to, in 2 years' time, really have yourself in this place, I guess the one, and it was so short-lived, that could rival it was like Kyler in 2021 was playing at that level, right? And they go out and they make the acquisition of Zach Ertz, the first like true playmaking tight end that this franchise has seen since its move to the desert. Like where you had Ertz and you had a healthy D-Hop at that time. And AJ Green was having that kind of career resurgence that nobody expected. Like that might, and James Conner was, having his resurgence in his own right. That was en route to an 18 touchdown season. That might be, the group that rivals it. And of course, the one that had 3,000-yard wide receiving players with Kurt Warner.
And again, I look at that group that you just mentioned, and that group was built on a house of cards, no pun intended. Like all those guys, 30 plus years and older, injuries. And guess what? Every single one of those guys either hit a wall in the case of AJ Green or went down in terms of D-Hop and Zach Ertz. And James Conner has missed time. So I will push back and say, the other group that comes to mind is circa 2014, 2015, John Brown, Michael Floyd, and Larry Fitzgerald. But then John Brown had, I think, injuries, and he had the sickle cell, and then Michael Floyd had some off the field concerns. Yeah. And Larry Fitzgerald got older as players do. And the most important aspect of that is they didn't have a Kyler Murray to grow with and develop with. Like everybody go watch the video. It's on my Twitter. It's on Kyler's TikTok. It's on our PHNX Cardinals, everything. Go and watch this video of them working out, where they facilitated that photo came from just yesterday that we had talked about on the show. And you can't tell me that group is not a cohesive group that can grow and blossom and flourish together in the desert. Like these aren't, excuse my term, but these aren't like one-off hired mercenary free agents that I'm coming to get my money. I'll do my best for you guys. I'm a one and done. And like, I love JJ Watt. That's really what JJ Watt was. Come here 2 years, try to win a championship, but really try to get paid. Like he went to the highest bidder. Cardinals were offering him the most money. This group, it's not about money. I mean, it is. Eventually it will be. Right now it's about trying to win. Trying to win for your quarterback, win for your fan base, develop a legacy. If you're Michael Wilson, develop a rapport, or a reputation. Yes, we know Michael Wilson. The casuals out there don't. The national media. If you're Trey McBride, what more do I have to do to get on your radar, ESPN? I mean, they, I think, are the perfect encapsulation of their head coach. Overlooked, disrespected, and you're talking about going into the season with 2 double birds at everybody else in the NFL. Like, yeah, we have talent, and we're going to be a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me back to when JG was building his staff and what you had sourced as far as what direction they were going to go with staff-wise, like offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, what the rest of the coaches were going to be comprised of. Yeah. And, you heard very early on, it wasn't going to be a bunch of retreads that you like had a little bit of notoriety throughout the league. Is like, no, it's guys that JG knows, believes in, and not flown on their radar, but just haven't gotten any recognition. But there's a firm belief and conviction in these guys. And we saw what that turned out to be on the coaching staff wise, how these guys were ready to play. Every group, no matter how undermanned they were ready to play. And that also is like, that's what Monty Ossenfort, his scouting department, had been able to identify in the roster personnel. Like, there's guys who flew under the radar, guys who might have played in the Big Ten, but didn't play at the Blue Blood, or didn't play at Ohio State, played at Rutgers, but competed their ass off. And in Max Melton, and somebody that could project into being, a very good starting NFL corner. And that's just one of many guys that they've been able to identify throughout just this short process by being, sickos and just married to the film and studying and knowing to look for and how they want to kind of couple the player with the coach. And it's beautiful how they put it together and how quickly you can turn things around with the right decisions.
Well, it's the cohesiveness we talked about. No changes to the staff, minimal changes to this roster. Like, they looked at free agency as a chance to like, okay, we need to improve cornerback, which we're going to talk about today. Defensive line, we got to get a replacement for DJ Humphries, but like, they didn't spend just to spend. And you could say they were frugal in some aspects. I wouldn't push back, but then also like the draft is, hey, we're just going to go in there and we're going to draft the best players for what we do. And we don't care if you don't like Max Melton in the second round, Johnny. We don't care if you don't like Tip Ryman at the back half of the third round. This is who we are. This is our identity. And we have 12 picks, and we're going to use them. And we found Dante Stills last year, and we got contributors in the middle rounds. Michael Wilson, B.J. Ojulari now poised for a second-year breakout. Garrett Williams, their CB2. Like, we are close to being able to say, trust the process, give this group the benefit of the doubt. I'm at that point because I saw the strides last year, and I can see what they're building. And it's, in my opinion, it's a pretty special thing. I can't imagine, like, Cardinal fans watching this right now, like, number one, you deserve this, and it hopefully leads to wins. If this team makes it to the postseason, like, this town's going to be up for grabs because it's not a flash in the pan. Because if Kyler Murray stays healthy, and this is the kind of leader that you're getting, which I feel like he's always been this leader, like, you're signing up for a run of success that can span 3 to 5 years. I really believe that. Whereas with Carson and Kurt, and even to some aspects, the first half of Kyler Murray's career, when the roster was so old and depleted and it was just built on just a couple guys, you never felt like sustained success was possible.
Yeah.
This could really, 2024 could be the start of, hey, that's when the Cardinals re-entered the equation nationally for an extended period of time.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't want to go like full Robin Williams on Cardinals fans out there from Goodwill Hunting, but I will to an extent. Like that inability for sustained success, that dysfunction, the organizational malpractice, like, that's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's not your fault. Like, come on, grab a hold of me. Let's hug it out. It's not your fault. Like, you have done your job as a fan. You've held on with this organization through thick and thin. a lot of thin. And now I think there's something legitimate that you can cheer on, and that consistently will be more successful than not. And, it's a testament to, the ownership kind of being able to figure out the right people to put in place and then letting them do their job in Monty Osfort and Jonathan Gannon. And they really have been able to make wholesale changes and make the right changes. Like what we saw last year was this team tearing it down to the studs. And then they're like, that looked good. And that seems like it's an easier job, probably easier said than done, but put themselves in a position to make some savvy, cap spending in free agency this year. And then of course, with the, 13 first-year players last year, and then add 12 draft picks this year, you got 25 new players within the first 2 years, and things are looking a lot better. Like the light at the end of the tunnel seems a little bit closer for Cardinals fans.
Yeah. I'll keep with the emotional beats here as you get emotional with your Robin Williams quote. This is probably one of the best comments we've gotten this offseason. How you doing, gentlemen and ladies? Finally could catch a live show. My wife, Ashley, is starting her chemo today. We are watching you guys like we do every day. Keep up the great show. Well, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate that. I think your name is Perhuxula. We appreciate you, my friend. Good luck to Ashley and to you and your family and your fight. And we will be praying for you every day and hope that this show is available to you guys to take your mind off what you've got going on. But we appreciate that message very much.
Yeah, we absolutely thoughts and our prayers are for you and your family. We're fighting right along there with you and Ashley, and the best of luck to all you guys. And if you're not a diehard, like I would like to get this gentleman into our diehard chat and maybe give him a little something to do while he's hanging out there and being by the side of his wife. So if you can contact me at bo@gophnx.com, I want to hook you up with a diehard membership, get in the exclusive member Discord, chat with some Cardinals fans throughout if you'd like. If that's something you're not interested in, maybe we'll do something else.
Yeah, and that'll be on us, sir.
Yep.
So if that wasn't clear. Illa Dre, $5 super chat. If we make the playoffs, we will go deep with talent. I think very similar. Again, I'm going to nitpick recent history. Green Bay Packers last year that started out right around 3 to 5, around 500, then really took off. Guess what? That was the youngest team in the NFL. So is why Bo and I come on this podcast every day. I'm like, can the Cardinals just get through their first 8 games, 3-5?
Right.
Like,
then we talked to Aaron Schatz. That interview is going to be available here on PHNX Sports. He's the father of DVOA analytics, basically in the NFL. And what do you say? Sixth hardest schedule?
Yeah. But again, you're playing the NFC West, and he admitted that. But if they can go, we can get to Halloween and we're sitting here doing the show and we're in our costumes and this team's around 500, then you better buck. I would say, health permitting, I would start putting away money for playoff tickets. I would feel that confident. This team, they can't afford, obviously, a 1-5, 1-6 start, but Illa Dre, you're right. They are going to take care of business and eat in the second half of the season. Can they hold on for dear life against the Rams, the Niners, the aforementioned Packers, the Bills week 1? And then they got to take care of business against Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and Jim Harbaugh. But brother, if we get to Halloween, they got 4 wins. This team's going to the postseason.
Yeah. And what was kind of the driving force behind that Packers team making the run that they did? Like, once Jordan Love settled in, and played consistently and elevated his game and had a season that I don't think anybody expected, 30+ touchdown passes, and really spread the ball around and playmakers emerged, but mostly due to Jordan Love's consistency. That's what Kyler Murray needs to do for the Cardinals, and like he's in a really good spot to do that.
We're in a good spot to tell you about one of our favorites, newest partners. It's our friends at Bet365. You can bet right now Kyler Murray comeback player of the year or MVP if you're so inclined, and we're going to give you some free cash to do so. That's with the bonus code PHNX365. Not familiar? They're never ordinary. and they've got 90 million users, does Bet365 worldwide. We are really close to preseason football, which means I'm really close to living on this app every single day. On top of the fact, they live stream 780,000 events each year. They've got early payouts, which are critical across multiple landscapes, including NFL, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball. They are the original OG pioneer in live in-game betting, and they offer the widest range of games and markets for live in-game betting across 78 sports. I love to dabble across Bet365 across 365 days a year. And again, we're going to hook you up with that bonus code PHNX365. Bet and get an offer and place a bet of $5 or more as a new customer. When you deposit $10, you're going to get $150 in bonus bets right after you put 5 shekels on any singular bet. Or if that's not your style, how about a first bet safety net? Place an offer, a bet up to $1,000. Again, can be anywhere between $5 to $1,000. If your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. So you're always a winner as a new customer with our friends at Bet365. But you got to remember, you got to download the bonus or the Bet365 app. You got to use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. We already had multiple people in our DMs and our mentions saying they have taken advantage and they have come out winners. We love to see that. So check out the link in the description, show notes for more information. You got to be 21 years and up and physically located here in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, go ahead and give them a call, help them out. 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text next step to 53342, or Bo, visit problemgambling.az.gov for more information.
We like any homer props tonight for the All-Star game? Anybody? Some good ones.
Little
Some tasty
Cattell
ones.
Marte MVP action.
What's that looking at?
I don't know. I just
Bet
he's
365.
leading off, so it's a little bit of a tough one too, because he probably isn't going to get a RBI out of that. You know.
Any good history against Burns? We're gonna have to do some homework, and we got a little bit of not much time before first pitch there in Arlington. But Bet365, never ordinary. Our guy Brian hit us up. Brian Emerson on Twitter tweeted that his work was being invaded by the beer of the summer, and what a good invasion to be a part of, right? It's the Bad Birdie Golden Ale, Juicy Golden Ale, of course, the collab between Four Peaks and Bad Birdie. It's super drinkable. It's the perfect beer for hitting links, sitting poolside, just hanging out, having a nice, refreshing cold one from our friends over at Four Peaks. We love Four Peaks beer, of course, the flagship. Kilt Lifter can't go wrong there, and the number one wheat beer in Arizona, the Wow Wheat. We love Four Peaks, and you will as well if you haven't checked it out. Check them out. 8th Street in Tempe, the OG location. It's been there for over 25 years. It's where they've been brewing the beer, continue to brew it, and it's also not just bar food. It's great restaurant quality grub. Right. You got apps, you got entrees, you got desserts, and they all couple and pair well with the beer brewed right on the location, including Bad Birdie. Check them out on your socials at Four Peaks Brew, at Four Peaks Pub, and keep up with the latest on Arizona's hometown brewery. Got to be 21 years or older to drink the beer. Please enjoy Four Peaks responsibly.
I'm feverishly been looking online, Bo. This isn't going to surprise you or Damon, Dog. Pumpkin Porter, where in my location here in West Gilbert can I find some pumpkin?
Did you know that they make it a celebration when they tap the first kegs there at Four Peaks? It's they have a party.
It's a party in my mouth every time I have some pumpkin porter. Pause. Wait a second. Pause. I need it. I've never needed anything more. I love Arizona. Summers don't bother me. Shameless plug. Got a little jog outside. It was kind of hot today. I was hydrating, but I was thinking to myself, man, in like 6 weeks, we're going to be in peak football mode, peak fall mode, and peak Four Peaks pumpkin porter mode. There's nothing better. Really nothing better.
What a flex. I was jogging in the heat. I don't know if that is. I think that's just whatever. It's a madman to be out there in the heat jogging.
I stay close to my house. So if I were to collapse, that I can call somebody to come get me. But I just, I don't want to be that guy who makes excuses. We're trying to be the best, Bo's.
You don't want to be the guy that makes the excuses, but you will be the guy that needs to be like airlifted off of like a street because you passed out due to the heat.
I'm not just saying this. I live in an older community. That happens a lot here. There's some old people. There's some ambulances that frequent the neighborhood. So just have them pick me up when they're grabbing somebody else. But Bo's flexing that he's at the gym the other day. So I'm trying to match his energy.
First off, Damon brought that up. I didn't flex that I was.
I feel like you maybe paid Damon to bring that up. We're trying to be in the best peak condition here to tackle the next 8 months of coverage. And we're going to do it only here at PHNX Cardinals. Hit that like, by the way. Subscribe here on YouTube. Ever so closer to that 30,000 subscribers here on the YouTube page. We are in the final home stretch to training camp. What are you laughing at now?
Valley Boy 14. Just imagine Johnny shirtless running around with a big old Cardinals tat on his back.
I emulated Ben Affleck's Rise of the Phoenix tat, but it's just a big bird head right there.
Isn't it a dragon? Doesn't he have a dragon on his back?
I thought it was that Phoenix.
Whatever, it's bad.
I'm a big Ben Affleck fan. I'm okay with it. Pause, JV. Girth Jr. saying, Johnny, you always set yourself up. I do know beer. Absolutely. Those Michelob Ultras, they saved me during the 9, 9, and 9. Is Girth's photo Gerald from PHNX Sports?
Girth is his nickname.
Gotcha. Girth Jr. Gotcha.
This is his son.
Yeah.
That is commenting.
I saw, I was watching Saul Bookman's Instagram story. I saw Gerald with, a sleeveless shirt walking around Vegas. And I'm just like, is he trying to check this show, this podcast? Is he trying to get on our level here with the gun show?
You can tell why he might have some offspring he's not aware about, like Girth Jr.
Interesting choice as we segue here into Paris Johnson Jr., who really kind of threw us a bone here midweek ahead of the start of training camp. The guy that we've coined lives at the facility more than anybody outside of maybe Kyler Murray. Paris Johnson Jr. Bo was made available to you and the rest of the Phoenix Greater Valley media today. And a lot of good insight from a player that, again, finally getting some national notoriety and who figures to be, in my opinion, the best homegrown tackle they've had since they've moved to Arizona. Yeah.
I mean, when you think of, the consistency that you saw for the last 7 seasons from DJ Humphries and, what that looks like, a guy that earned a second and a third contract with the Arizona Cardinals before having a brutal, injury that ended his career here in the desert. But take in consideration that DJ didn't even start his first season. He didn't play in a game. He was inactive the entire year. And then you got Paris Johnson Jr., who Monty Osfort tabs as his first draft pick, starts every single snap, plays in every single snap at the right tackle position, where he played left tackle at Ohio State and he played some right guard. But, Paris Johnson Jr. now kind of ahead of schedule due to the DJ Humphries injury is now taking over at franchise left tackle. And we talked about it yesterday, like the playmakers getting together with Kyler Murray at UCLA and working out. I asked Paris Johnson, what that means for this group going forward. And this was his answer about Kyler and the playmakers.
I mean, I think it's awesome. Just those guys being able to spend that time together before the season. Because again, I think, especially as an offense, that's really been where my mind's been kind of noticing the trends. As far as our offense, can we speak on a lot of other things, but in terms of like just the unity off the field, I think has been remarkable. Just the time spent away. I think obviously they could have did all that same stuff here, but it's different when you get to take a trip somewhere to you get to go to UCLA, use the facilities where it's not 1,000 degrees or whatnot. You know what I mean? So I think it's awesome to see them get together to do stuff like that.
The unity is remarkable. Have we ever heard that uttered, within the last decade for this team? Well, I mean, maybe the BA time,
yeah.
But even then.
It also, it never felt, I'm sorry, this is not to take shots at prior regimes. It never felt organic. It never felt real. It felt like outside of those peak BA years, it always felt like this almost just looks like it's for show. It looks like players feeling like they had to check a box. Like what we're seeing right now. And again, I'm not knocking the defense. This is probably happening with a lot of the defenders, but what we're seeing with this cohesiveness with this offensive unit, it's not something that I've seen in my fandom watching this team before. And it may very well not lead to wins. We could be sitting here in mid-October and saying it's great that they're close-knit and hopefully they rally, but they just don't have enough talent yet, or they need more time. And that's fair. That's okay. But I think you're looking at a group right now that work ethic is not an issue. Accountability is not an issue. Conditioning is not going to be an issue. It's going to be are they good enough from a personnel standpoint? And do they have the coaching? And I think we feel like, yeah, they do, but can they overcome, like, they're not playing the NFC South or the AFC South historically. This is the NFC West. This is big boy football. But as far as Paris goes, there's nobody I would want more protecting Kyler Murray's blind side. And I was in favor of him staying at right tackle, especially if they were able to. They missed out on Marv. They took a Joe Alt or somebody. But, I mean, you watch Paris Johnson Jr., as you mentioned, DJ Humphries, good soldier, good draft pick. Like, I think especially after all of the egregiously bad Steve Keim picks that this fan base has endured. Isaiah Simmons, Jonathan Cooper. I mean, there's so many busts. There's a guy that comes in and just does his job for the better part of 10 years. And we applaud DJ Humphries. That being said, DJ Humphries was never viewed, in my opinion, as a top-tier tackle in the NFL. It's some good years. I think it was a Pro Bowl alternate one year. Paris has the kind of ceiling to be a top 3 to 5 tackle in the NFL.
Yeah. And he gets the assignment, right? Like, I asked him today, and we'll go back to the footage, basically what his mindset is at left tackle. And it's not, blowing up, pancaking guys or anything like that. This is his mindset at left tackle, and it's bigger picture.
I think that the mindset for me always has been that when I win a one-on-one, the ball goes down the field. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm most excited about, just being a left tackle, is that, especially with the protections that are a little bit longer plays where the left tackle tends to be a one-on-one, or the plays I tend to love the most, because kind of like halfway through the play, if you're locking him up and you just know that he can't go anywhere, you start to smile a little bit, you're like, oh, dude, ball's gone. You know what I mean? Like, ball's gone, and it's going to be a touchdown. It's going to be a huge gain. So I think for me, that's kind of the mindset you kind of have to have at the left tackle spot, is that as soon as I win, like, my rep, we're going down the field. So that's just the mindset I have in terms of how well I have to prepare.
I said bigger picture, but it's the opposite of that. It's more of a play-by-play basis, where if he just wins his one-on-one matchup, where if he can subdue a guy like Nick Bosa, it only gives a playmaker in Kyler Murray, the ability, or if it's a run play with James Conner, for them to have a big play downfield. It gets the ball downfield. And that you really have to like that, where Paris is coming and going into his second season.
Yeah, and getting that ball to one Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, go look at the clip we have on our PHNX.
We've got that. You want to hear that? I mean,
yeah, let's hear him.
He understands it. What even Marv going into his first season.
Again, obviously, I played with a lot of great guys in college. I'm glad we have one of those guys here. You know what I mean? To throw the ball to as well, just because, again, it's one of those things, like with CJ, you just, again, a left tackle, my mindset was just let CJ just do his thing, and that's my thing. I want Kyler to be able to do his thing. Don't worry about whoever's over here. Just do your thing. That's why you're here, and just throw it to Marvin, and we'll be good. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited about, and I think all that starts because of what we do on the line. So, and I think not just myself, but the entire room takes pride in, hey, like, when we do our job up front, that's how everything else goes. So let these guys we have with the ball in their hands do all that magic. We just gotta just do our job, just continue to win your one-on-one,
Now, did he bring up Marvin unprompted there?
Yes. In that instance, yeah. I mean, because that was just kind of piggybacking his conversation. Right. I think it was Craig Morgan, our beat reporter, asking him about, more of his in-depth into his mindset, and followed up with that. And yeah, he just turned to Marv.
It's funny. Everybody's default answer is, yeah, we're just taking one play at a time, get the ball to number 18, get the ball to Marv. Guy hasn't played an NFL snap yet.
Yeah.
Lost fanboys. It's just like, when the players are echoing it unprompted in press conferences and national radio shows, it's like, yeah, he's probably one of the best players on the team already. I mean, as much as it pained me, and it wasn't real pain, but tongue-in-cheek pain, to not have him participate in the offseason for the draft process, we might be looking back to how Marv prepared himself. And again, I don't want this, and I don't think mid-tier prospects are going to be able to do this. If Marvin has a historic year, it will more receivers or players in general just start to get ready for the regular season sooner, or do you believe Marv is like a special situation?
I think he's special. It's not like it's not going to happen, in the next, like if the kid from Missouri or say T-Mac has an unbelievable year and maybe they're a finalist for the Heisman like Marv, and it's all there on tape, and they already had their previous season and there's big expectations for this year, and they followed up with another one and they solidify themselves as a top 5 pick, or the next guy after the run on quarterbacks goes, then like I think that's probably the blueprint, but there's still kind of with wide receivers that you have to be a special case in order to have a unique approach to the pre-draft process. I don't think that's for everybody. Like we've pointed out, like Marvin Harrison Jr.'s tape and his pedigree, his work ethic that is legendary. It took out all the homework for most teams. And I don't think that as much as we're excited about, the wide receiver from Missouri or T-Mac down at U of A, like they still have a lot to prove. I think more to prove than Marv had going into, his final collegiate season. I don't know, Damon, am I wrong by saying that? I think that's fair.
And I think Marv is the best receiver prospect we've probably seen since like Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's like a disrespectful thing at all.
Yeah.
I mean, like I like T-Mac fine. I mean,
right.
I need to see T-Mac.
Are 32 teams going to be like, oh, we turned on the Wildcats game and we know all the film from T-Mac and it matches like a safe prospect with as much upside too is like how teams viewed Marv. And I think that is what separates him. I mean, even separated him in his own draft class, which was historically good at his position.
Yeah. I mean, T-Mac needs to have a pro day. T-Mac needs to run the 40, in my opinion, or probably
he might not have to.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you see mid-tier first-round prospects skip out on 40
look
times
at Malik
too and
Neighbors.
stuff.
I mean, he ran it at his pro day. I think Malik ran at his pro day.
Yeah. I mean, but he didn't run at the combine. Like there's certain things he'll be able to sit out.
I mean, Marv didn't do anything.
Right.
We better like Marv was an anomaly this until now. We get to enjoy him every single day, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Shopping
Next
number
week,
18
man,
collection.
we're finally gonna get to see it. Like little doses,
we
here
haven't
and there.
We literally, the season ended, started our draft coverage. We started a little bit before, and until they drafted him, who was he? Where was he? We didn't see him speak. I mean, it was pretty wild.
It was, we've only got, a week from today, the players report, and, Marv has matched the hype. And one of the things that we were expecting was a big competition. I still expect one to an extent at the left guard position.
Yeah.
And Paris to wrap up, his comments at the podium today in Tempe at the Cardinals facility was how he's developing a rapport and how he wants to develop a rapport with his left guard like he did at right guard when he was playing right tackle with Will Hernandez. And somebody's kind of reaching legendary status around the Cardinals facility, and it's not the name you expect. It's Paris Johnson on the free agent signing Evan Brown this offseason. This is Paris talking about 2 minutes about Evan Brown.
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, that's my guy. We like to compete. We've been competing in the weight room since day one in terms of just like what we consider like athletic competitions. So like even in the weight room, at the very end of the week, when we're done lifting, I'll talk to Evan and I'll be like, no, you're staying, and we'll just do some sort of competition, whether it's grip or whether it's jump or whether it's pull-ups or something. And I don't let him leave until I beat him in at least 2 things. Like, so if we do a jump thing, and like I've always thought I was the best kind of, I had the most height when I jumped out of O-line. I could dominate anybody in that, but he beat me in that, surprisingly. So I was like, all right, now we're hopping on the bike. And then we did this bike thing, and I beat him on the bike. I'm like, now we're doing pull-ups. Then I beat him on a pull-ups. Okay, now we can leave. You know what I mean? But like we just have that, and we're just always just competing. And then again, obviously, he wasn't on the team with us last year, but I think what he brings to the table with being a vet is that he's like a plug-and-play guy. He knows, he's been in those scenarios before. He's played with guys like Panay when he was with Detroit. So obviously just being able to talk to him and how this is how it was when I was setting with Panay, this is how it was when I was setting the Seahawks. These are the different things that I can do that mirror some things like in your game, how you set. And I'll talk to him about what I like to do in certain scenarios. and how his set can sort of match that. Does that make sense? So I think he adds a lot. To the point to where strength coaches like, you guys got to go. Like, you guys should go. You know, we're not trying to break any rules around here. But it's just me and him just going, and he loves it. You know, so, and even us starting to do that, we started to get other guys in the O-line that tried to hop in on our competition for fun. But it only matters if I beat Evan. It's just, I'm just beating you, you know? So it's fun.
That's great. You guys should go. You should probably leave.
Like, you guys have to stop. Like, this is now gone from healthy competition to unhealthy. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt somebody else. But let me say this. The analytics on Evan Brown are off the charts.
Yes.
I mean, what's being said about Evan Brown? I mean, talk about checking all the boxes and being like a legendary analytics just beast. Evan Brown, like, I feel like the legend of him is like outgrown itself, and now it's taken on new life. To where it's like, did you hear Evan Brown? He squatted a school bus last week, and you're like, what? No way. A school bus? He's like, yeah, full of children. It's like a full class worth of kids were on that bus. Evan Brown was there.
Can you imagine when they run 12 personnel and from left to right, it's everybody's favorite Tip Ryman, who is might be 7 foot at training camp. We can neither confirm or deny. Tip, Paris, Evan Brown, who's going to start at left guard. Clearly, he's their left guard. Yelda Froholt, who does CrossFit in his gym here in Arizona. Will Hernandez Jr., and then Jonah Williams and Trey McBride. I mean, that is the most physically imposing offensive line that we have had. I mean, I think you're poised to challenge. We're throwing out a lot of accolades this show. You're poised to challenge the Big Red Machine in the late 70s with Conrad Dobler and Dan Dierdorf. Like, that's what it feels like. There's momentum for that. So that's my first takeaway from that clip. My second takeaway from that clip has nothing to do with these players this year. You sent me a video, or I had seen it before, Hollywood Brown's arrest video. And I'm like, and it's on Instagram. I'm not ripping Hollywood Brown. I'm happy that he's in Kansas City and doing well. That was the vibe around this team 2 years ago. We're like, oops, guess I better go to practice. Oops, I'm going to get an extreme speeding ticket and be arrested. You think that would ever happen now? And I'm knocking on wood. I don't know if it does. Anybody want to guess? Like, do you think that's even crossing something like Paris Johnson Jr.'s mindset? That was what you used a first round pick for 2 years ago. That's your first round pick the very next year. You talk about doing the exact fucking opposite of what this franchise used to do. Instead of guys that are like, yeah, you know what? I'm actually not going to stay at the team hotel. I'm going to go back to my place, and then I'm going to be late, and then I'm going to go 126 on the freeway. No,
allegedly.
I'm Paris Johnson Jr. and I'm addicted to working out and addicted to competing. That's the antithesis of what Cliff Kingsbury's Cardinals were. End of rant.
I didn't know I couldn't do that. I didn't know I couldn't go 126.
I didn't know this
101 southbound. I like this, Diego Perez. Did you hear Evan Brown bicep curled Johnny Venerable?
I might need Evan Brown to save my life if Tip Ryman locked eyes with me at training camp.
Did you hear Evan Brown? He went to a fiery car and ripped it open like he's a can opener on a can of sardines. You hear he went up to Sedona, Johnny, and he chest pressed some Red Rock up there? A boulder?
Is he bigger than Will Hernandez?
He's like Will Hernandez, where Bill Hernandez is funny, but Will Hernandez, where they're just stocky. There's like, feels like there's as wide as they are tall.
Will Hernandez shirtless in the locker room is one of the most intimidating things I've ever seen in my adult life. And so if Evan Brown is stronger than Will Hernandez will walk around the locker room, and I look like a kid who got lost on a field trip, need to be taken to my parents. Can somebody call an adult for me? And Will Hernandez is the nicest guy. If Evan Brown is bigger than Will Hernandez, then James Conner might have 2,000 yards rushing this year.
It's an impressive group. And like, the one thing I'll say, like, harkening it back to the Big Red Machine, or whatever the nickname was with Dobler and Dan Dierdorf. Like, I think who's going to lock in as, the long-term,
it's a great question.
Paris Johnson Jr. And I think like I really like this group. Like this group is fantastic, and it's fun to root for, and you know, the most colorful and fun position group on the entire team. But I think like the future of the Cardinals offensive line is going to be bright, and we don't even know most of the pieces that we're going to, you know, cheer on and root for going forward, like beyond 2024.
Totally agree. Like, I think Jonah Williams could, if Jonah Williams plays really good football, I think there's another contract in Jonah Williams' future, Bo. But Yelda Froholt, I feel like, as what is he, 27?
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy you could build around. But yeah, your point is correct. I love Will, and I'm hopeful for Evan Brown, but those guys are approaching 30 years old, and the Cardinals don't want to be in a position to pay guys after 30. It's just the reality of the situation. So I feel like Isaiah Adams certainly feels like he's on a different developmental plan than the rookies last year. Because if Evan Brown gets his big meat paws on this starting left guard job and doesn't let go, we're going to see Evan Brown or Isaiah Adams, health permitting, in 2025. There's not going to be an opening. And unlike corner, and you're mixing and matching Max Melton and different players, and guys are rotating, you're not rotating the offensive line if you can help it. That 5 is hopefully the same week 1 to week 17.
Yeah. You know, more offensive line breakdown. We did our position groups. It's on this YouTube page. You could just subscribe. You can check out just the videos, the clips on their own. Also, you got to check in on our pickleball tournament that's going on, Johnny, just a week from this Saturday. That's July 27th. I'm locked in. You're locked in. Damon Dawg's locked in. All the proceeds, they go to Stark. Coach Stark is ready to go. He's talking some crap on the Twitter streets. He's ready to roll. But all the proceeds go to a great cause, the State 48 Foundation. So along with their trash talk, which is welcome, so is the donation that's going to get you locked in for our pickleball tournament, with all the proceeds going to that State 48 Foundation's Chicken and Pickle, PHNX. If you haven't checked it out, Chicken and Pickle, yet, what are you doing? Check it out for yourself in the shadow of State Farm Stadium in Glendale. It offers delicious shareables, unbelievable drinks. You've got, of course, the premier pickleball courts in the Valley of the Sun, and a variety of yard games, and enough space to kick back and relax with all your favorite people. Head to chickenandpickle.com to see the fun you can have at their Glendale location, and also check out gophnx.com/events to lock in your spot in the pickleball tournament.
Yeah, and on the way to Chicken and Pickle, why not stop off at our friends at Circle K? Become a member of the Inner Circle for free today, gentlemen. It's America's thirst stop. I mentioned, just as my son wrapped up summer camp last week, we headed over to Circle K and picked up that 79-cent Froster. Was delicious. And again, if you're in Arizona, you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents now through September 3rd at any Arizona location. I plan on picking one up before every single training camp practice, preseason game, and more. On top of their fine beverages, check out the array of premium Circle K original snacks and goodies. Again, join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com/store-locator, Bo, to find the nearest Circle K to you. And what you can find in the meantime, you don't even have to leave your house, the number 18 collection. Shop it right now at gophnx.com. This isn't the number 18 collection, but it's one of the freshest tees that we've got. I like to call this pre-Marvin. This is our Phoenix Cardinal t-shirt that we launched right after the season in 2023. So really, this is the first new piece of merch for 2024. It's timeless. It's a classic. It's all black, plus the bird, plus a certain stadium in Glendale. Rep it with pride with the state flag here in AZ. So much goodness chalked up into one shirt. And again, if you're like, you know what? I want a little bit more pizzazz. I want to go even harder. Shop the number 18 collection right now. As we said yesterday on this show, Shields says, buckle in. No Marvin jerseys coming anytime soon. So why not get yourself the freshest tee collection in the Valley and beyond? It's the Maserati Marv t-shirt, the MHJ touchdown celebratory tee, and then, of course, my son's favorite t-shirt, the math t-shirt, 1 + 18 = 6, because we know we're going to see a lot of 18 = 6 tutties at State Farm Stadium, just like Kyler was dropping touchdowns to Marv out in California, potentially working out.
Yeah.
So we're fired up about the number 18 collection. If you become a diehard, any of these shirts are for free. You get one free piece of merch every single year. Why not make it something, Bo, from the 18 collection?
Yeah, it's some of the most beautiful things, including that video that you're mentioning from UCLA, Kyler to Marv, that these eyes have ever seen. But the 18 collection is right up there. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And the Phoenix Rising tee, as Johnny's wearing it, the pre-Marv, the pre-MHJ era, but it wasn't that much before MHJ. It just reminds me of happy times. Like when we came together, when we were hanging out with over 100 plus at the draft party. They're chanting, "Hold the line" at Damon Dawg. He's leading them. And then the pick was in, and it was Marvin Harrison Jr. Remember that great moment?
I do. It's encapsulated in my memory, in my mind for the rest of time. And it was a special night. And again, like I'm hopeful that the highlight of our year, not the night of the draft, I hope it's some football Sundays when we're spending it with all of you at some undisclosed locations that we're going to be able to announce. There is one location we can announce. We're going to be in Miami. We're going to be in South Beach. Myself, Bull Brack, Damon Dawg, the GM, Saul Bookman, and more. Check us out with our friends at True Fan Travel. Go to truefantravel.com. Look at packages starting at as low as $12.99. And that's going to get you flights, transportation to and from. That's going to get you a ticket to the game. That's going to get you hooked up, alumni events, meet and greets. How about a booze cruise? How about tailgating? How about hanging for 4 days? October 25th through the 28th, a 4-day extravaganza. You will not want to miss this. We have so much planned for this season. You guys, this is I want to say it's the icing on top, but really it's the cake too. It's the best thing we've ever done in terms of an event here at PHNX Sports. And it's one of many surprises that we have set up here for the next couple of weeks that we cannot wait to unveil. And it's only with our friends at truefantravel.com, Bo.
Yeah, they take out all the heavy lifting as far as you booking, travel, getting the tickets to the game. Like they've got everything. All you need to do is lock in your package today, reserve your spot right now. Go phnx.com/events or check out more info at truefantravel.com. And you'll get those round trip flights, charter bus, airport transfers, hotel stay at an unbelievable hotel in Miami, a welcome event, meet and greet with Cardinals alumni, all-inclusive tailgate party, round trip transportation to the game, your ticket to the Cardinals-Dolphins road game, and then that booze cruise, as Johnny mentioned. Damon Dawg's wedding. He hasn't met the girl yet, but that's just something we're going to figure out on the fly during that 3-day extravaganza.
My wife says, I'm coming and you can't stop me. So my spouse will be there. Hopefully Bo's wife will be there as well. And then, Damon, we're going to make it happen one way, shape, or form. I love this. Bo Biden can't wait to be the best man at Damon's wedding. I feel like that role is up for grabs because there are days, Bo Biden, that I want that role. And then there are days, that I just said, you know what, Damon's pissing me off. I don't want to be a part of this wedding party.
But that's what, that's unconditional love.
It's true.
You hate his guts at the moment, but then he brings you right back in.
I call that family, Johnny.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't get along with your brothers. That's just how it is. You butt heads a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's all love.
That's right.
True love is blind. Absolutely. Famous wedding what is it? Old school. I think what my friend's trying to say is true love is blind. And we're going to be having a ball again. truefantravel.com.
I think you've found true love, and then you get home. You take the early flight home from San Diego.
Oh, man. Great stuff. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. We will continue our positional previews manana. We're going to talk about the cornerback group. We're going to talk about the linebackers. And before you know it, it's going to be next Monday, the start of training camp 2024. Other camps are open. The Cardinals, we just got a couple more days. Hit that like button. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star if you were so inclined. For my dear, dear friend, Bull Brack, for Damon Dawg, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.